Have you ever heard somebody complain that they're hurting before a storm even comes? Maybe it's a knee, maybe it's a hip, maybe it's that headache that shows up before the rain even gets there. For a long time, people dismissed that as folklore, it's fake, it's all in your head, and you don't know what you're talking about. However, research has started to figure out that there might be a biological reason, and that is what we are going to talk about tonight. Welcome back to Evidence Through Motion. I am Heather, not Squid. If you know, you know. And if you're new here, this channel is all about exploring pain, movement science, and research in an easy to understand and non doctor or clinic kind of way to help you move better and live safer. Before we get into things tonight, I am going to say hi to all my chat because I am kind of running late, so I owe that to them. Ninja Puppy, good to see you. I'm glad you're back. Lorianne, I hope you are doing okay. Jeffrey, it's good to see you. Tammy, as always, great to see you. My mods are so great. I love my mods. I have the best mods. And if you are watching this on replay crew, or I cut it short and I'm not looking at the camera, I promise it's not the fact that I have to look at a script, because these are not scripted. These are winging it. I have talking points and that's it. Gail, always great to see you. Heidel, as always, my super mod, amazing to see you as well. I hope you are doing well. Please share this stream out if this is any kind of content that you are interested in, or you think someone else could benefit from this information. Please share it out and hit that like button. It would really help me out in the YouTube world. The YouTube really likes engagement, and it is what it is. Yes, and today's stream is also brought to you by F-Balm, the Tallow Truth. Oh my god, I love this stuff. So I ripped the absolute crap out of my hand on Friday, and instead of putting like antibiotics on it, or like, you know, stuff like that, things that I think could have negative effects in the long run, I've literally been using this. This is my favorite thing in the world. It's why we do no makeup Sundays here, because I let y'all know exactly what I put on my skin, but I am in love with it. It is tallow, beef tallow, honey, and frankincense. And if you are one of those people who are in the know, you know that honey is a natural antimicrobial. So putting it on a wound, I wanted to try it out on a wound to see how it worked, to see if it, you know, took the pain down. It helped the skin moisturize when I stretched my hand out. I forgot that honey is a natural antimicrobial. So I'm literally putting things that could prevent infection on my skin without even thinking about it. Whoop, and here is the little busting down the door. But if you do want to try that product, if you go to that link or use the discount code SQUID at checkout, you'll get 15% off. It's amazing. I love it. Try it out. And if you don't like it, I will give you the P.O. box that I'm getting, and I will pay you for it, and you can send it to me because I need to order more. I'm in love. All right. And my camera was just not cooperating. My camera was just not cooperating tonight because I moved it a little bit and I set it up and it wanted to look at the ceiling and I could not get it to look at me. So now that we've got company, we're going to get into what we have going on tonight. Well, JKD Block, Tammy Main, Karen. Are you seeing my chats? Yes, I am. By the way, I love that balm. We have a problem with wrapping our hair. Yeah, honey is also an natural anti-inflammatory. Yes, it is. So thanks for cooperating with me, because we've had a weekend in this house. However, first things first, I have to thank T3 and Snipe Hunter for giving me the inspiration for this. I have general topics of what I want to talk to, but I really want to know what you guys think. So your feedback in the comments, what you're interested in, what you're not interested in, really helps me shape how this channel goes forward. So why do people feel pain before storms? Hey. Somebody wants to be the center of attention today. Yeah, and it doesn't sting at all. It's great. No. Evidence of motion. This company is Canadian. I've looked at it lots, but haven't ordered. But I do use the raw organic honey. Can't be store-bought unless it's from organic store. Yeah, it is a Canadian company, but I don't hold that against them because they are anti-woke. And I like the fact that they just tell it like it is, and they don't try to pander to any audience. Yes. All right, getting into the content for tonight. One of the biggest things that changes before a storm hits, and I'm experiencing this today, is the change in what is called barometric pressure. It's simply the amount of pressure that's pushing down on your body. When a storm system approaches, atmospheric pressure drops. Okay, good. Think of high pressure as sunny and warm, low pressure as cold and miserable. I'm not a meteorologist, but that's my simple way of remembering a high pressure system versus a low pressure system. No, that's not a phone, baby girl. Hi. Hey, Mommy. All right. And toes? And tata. You go get the telltale and I'll give you a spoon. Get it. Bye. Bye. I'm working on it. It's this time of night is always where she's running back and forth between me and her dad, who's in bed, and she gets a little wild before she passes out. So, yeah, it's a phone if you pretend enough. I just don't want that to go missing because that was expensive. That's my backup drive for all my content. All right. When a storm system approaches, the barometric pressure often drops. So there isn't as much pressure pushing down on your body. Oh, thank you. Well, for most healthy people and healthy joints, this change isn't really noticeable. But if a joint is already irritated, sensitive from either arthritis or chronic pain, the pressure-sensitive receptors in your body kind of go crazy. Those receptors send pain signals to the nervous system that says something is different, and the body often interprets those signals as pain. Another factor can be the nervous system itself. As we've talked about in last week's video specifically, but in this entire chronic pain series, the nervous system plays a huge role in how pain is experienced. In chronic pain conditions, the nervous system can be more sensitive and I described as overprotective. Think of a helicopter parent. It reacts to everything, whether it needs to or not. But that doesn't necessarily mean there's damage. It simply means the nervous system is reacting to an environmental change. In this case, the pressure, but also the humidity. And this is the one that I didn't realize played as big of a factor as it does. When humidity is high, it's harder for the body to cool itself down. Normally, when our body wants to cool itself off, we sweat, that sweat evaporates, and we're cooler. However, when the humidity is high, think of Florida or Georgia in the summertime, you sweat and that water doesn't go anywhere. Many chronic illnesses often involve some level of autonomic dysfunction or dysregulation, which can affect how the body regulates its own temperature. So, environmental stressors like heat and humidity, or cold and humidity, can place additional strain on the body that we don't generally account for. Researchers have actually studied this. One of the largest studies recently is from 2019. It's called, and I'm reading the study because I don't want to mess up the name of it. It's Cloudy with a Chance of Pain. Researchers followed over 2,600 people with chronic pain who tracked their movements or their pain levels daily on a smartphone app, which coincided with what the weather was like. Think about that for a second. Instead of back in the day when you took anecdotal evidence or clinic, just a small group of people, this is 2,600 people who are tracking their symptoms right alongside weather data. Instead of having to recall from memory when you go into the doctor's office and say, yeah, I think I had pain back when it rained like a week ago. This is one of the studies that is cited quite often because of the fact that it had such a big sample size. Sorry. So here's the kicker, though. They only found modest associations between increased pain and certain weather conditions, including higher humidity, lower pressure, and stronger winds. As if you've lived anywhere near me, you know that the Mother Nature tried to blow all of our houses down like a couple days ago. That doesn't mean, though, that the weather itself causes the chronic pain. But it does suggest that environmental factors like the weather play a larger factor and may influence some people's symptoms. And there's the thing, it's some people. Not everybody with chronic pain will experience pressure changes or chronic issues related to weather, which is what is hard. So, and I know that a lot of people in chat struggle with this, and I do too. My headaches get worse when it rains. My brain fog gets worse when when it rains. The less pressure that is on you, your joints have a chance to expand. And while it's not a big expansion, even that microscopic level expansion to someone with an overactive nervous system or autonomic dysfunction, it technically speaking can cause a big problem. For me, the less pressure that's on my head from the outside, the more pressure that's on my head from the inside. And it's awful. So, and hey, Stacy, how are you? That ring went out a diaper month ago. Oh my god, I don't know what I missed. Full knee replacement too. The left needs a long waited list, which is not as bad as the arthritis in feet and ankles. Yeah. This is something I can't either. Everything hurts worse in the cold. Everything is stiffer in the cold. Why is this year so much worse? This year has been unreal for symptoms. Yeah. I wish I could answer that. I really do. Because if I could answer that, I'd be rich. First time catching your health live shows. Appreciate it. Thank you. This is my passion project. The other channel is like fun and we get to make fun of people and we get to talk drama and all that. But this is my career. This is the this is my passion project and what I'm actually like. I want to keep people moving. I want to keep people out of the medical industrial system, as the case may be. So this is my passion project. So this is the channel that I wish would get to 50, 100,000 subscribers. Wishful thinking, but never know. Yes, welcome to Heather's Drama Free Zone. I appreciate that. All right, but next topic: why old injuries hurt before the storm. Not just people with chronic pain, but often people with an old injury often notice that that area of the body starts hurting right before the weather changes. Someone might say that their knee injury from years ago started acting up. One reason this might happen is because of scar tissue. When the body heals after an injury, the repaired tissue is slightly different than your body's original tissue. A simple example would be a scar. If anybody has a scar on their arm or their hand, like I have a scar right there. It's going away, but I can still rub my fingers over it and you can feel the difference in the tissue. It's tighter, it's a little bit more dense. You might feel a knot. It is just in a way that you can't really put your finger on, no pun intended. It's different. It feels firmer. That's because the collagen fibers that repaired that scar or that caused that scar are arranged differently than normal tissue. However, disclaimer, that doesn't mean that if you have a scar or you have scar tissue that your body healed incorrectly. It's just an adaptation that has happened over time to repair tissue. But that being said, most of us know what a scar and scar tissue looks like on the surface. Those same concepts can occur inside the body. We just can't see them. After muscle or joints, muscles, tendons, ligaments are injured, the repair doesn't always look the same as the original tissue. Joints also contain something called synovial fluid, which acts like a lubricant before or between bones. So I have a right here. So this is a demonstration of a synovial joint. I'm not going to get medical with this, but you can see that the synovial fluid is between the bones and the cartilage, right? But joint lubrication can also change as we age. It's not that the synovial fluid goes away. You will hear it referred to as the synovial fluid is drying up. That's not exactly true. However, the production and the viscosity might change over time, and you just might produce less, which is one of the things that also contributes to joint stiffness. The fluid in there is meant to lubricate, and think about putting WD-40 on a door. When it's lubricated, it moves nice and freely, no issues, no cracks, no squeaks. When that synovial fluid changes as we age, things can tend to dry up, and then we have our stiffness. However, this is one of the things that y'all aren't gonna like, those with chronic pain, is movement can help circulate that fluid across your joints. Yes, think about pouring oil into a frying pan and tipping the frying pan around and lubricating the whole pan. Even something as simple as walking around or putting weight into your joints. So, standing up, leaning on a table, and putting weight into your arms can help lubricate the joints in your upper body. It seems like a simple concept. However, when you have chronic pain, sometimes movement is the last thing that you want to do. But just like putting oil in that frying pan, it sits in one spot, and when it heats up and you tip the frying pan and you move the frying pan around, that synovial fluid spreads across the cartilage and helps lubricate those surfaces. One reason joints often feel stiff after sitting or standing or laying for a long period is the fact that you did not move and the joints aren't lubricated. Gentle movement, and emphasis on the gentle. We're not going for like CrossFit games here. Gentle movement, even simple range of motion, wrists, fingers, before you get out of bed in the morning can help redistribute that fluid. So if y'all like this and this information has been helpful so far, please consider hitting that like button. And if you aren't subscribed, please subscribe and share this out. It really helps me with the YouTube algorithm and those overlords who want to keep my channel from growing. But I also will link the playlist to the rest of the videos in this series because this is video number 4 down in the description, so y'all can check out the rest of the videos if you haven't yet. But that explains why I always catch myself leaning on the counter at checkout when shopping. Yeah, also, if your legs are tired as well, sometimes leaning forward, it takes pressure off of your back. Especially if you have chronic back pain, the less weight that's on our back, the easier it is. Think about carrying around a heavy backpack. You get tired quickly versus just walking around. Well, if you also are tired and you're carrying a little extra weight, that puts extra pressure on our spine. And sometimes if we have weak muscles, it hurts. Yeah, and that's the thing. Move it or lose it. Yep. Oh, just started Tai Chi to see if it helps. I love Tai Chi. Tai Chi is amazing. I am considering reaching out to a former coworker of mine who is, I don't know what you call it, but he's certified in teaching Tai Chi, and he would do in-services with us on how to do Tai Chi with your patients and the benefits of Tai Chi in rehab. And I'm like, I want to get him on the channel, but I'm like, I haven't talked to him in like 6 years. So I'm like, will he remember who I am? So I've had 4 arthroscopic surgeries, 2 each in both knees, clean up torn ligaments, finally a full right knee replacement after a few falls. Here in British Columbia, I actually had a long wait. Yeah. Tai Chi is also good for relaxation. And we're going to get into some what can trigger flare-ups. And environmental factors is just one piece of the puzzle. So thanks, Heather, for bringing that up. Or Karen for bringing that up, because y'all, and Jeffrey with the dad joke. Snipe Hunter, you have a little bit of competition with the dad jokes today. Wouldn't that be a Tai Chi? That would be a Thai teacher. Tai Chier. Oh my goodness. So, you've been waiting to ask me that. I love Tai Chi. Tai Chi is also good for, why does the weather even trigger flare-ups? Well, a flare-up, as most of you know, but if you don't, it's a temporary increase in symptoms. That might include pain, stiffness, lack of movement, sensitivity to movement. Well, one important thing that I want to stress with a flare-up is a flare-up does not mean new damage. And another thing to understand, and this is where the Tai Chi comes in, flare-ups are not necessarily due to one factor. More often, they occur when multiple things start happening at once and stack together. That could include things such as poor sleep, emotional stress, an acute illness. It is wintertime. People, I had a cold recently, allergies, things like that. Also, change in activity levels, whether that be completely stopping activity or doing too much too fast, and environmental changes like the weather. That's where the Tai Chi comes in. Tai Chi can help with your stress levels, which can lead to better sleep. Therefore, the Tai Chi might be good for flare ups too. I don't have any anecdotal evidence from myself about how Tai Chi impacts chronic pain. However, just having the background that I do, having worked with just chronic pain patients in general, and being a chronic pain patient myself, when your pain or when your stress gets worse, it's hard to sleep. And when your sleep gets worse, your pain gets worse. Everything kind of works together in this pain cycle. So when these stressors all accumulate on top of each other, the nervous system goes into that overprotective and helicopter parent mode, where it will react to anything and everything and interpret those changes as pain. And then that relates to what we talked about last week, that topic, and I have to read this word because I cannot say it unless I'm looking at it. Central sensitization. I literally cannot say that word unless I'm looking at it. And the fact that I can even say it and pronounce it to begin with is a feat, in my opinion. So, central sensitization occurs when the nervous system becomes more responsive to incoming input and sensory input. In other words, the brain and spinal cord start reacting more strongly to signals coming from anywhere in the body. So, environmental changes like pressure or shifts in humidity and even the wind add additional input to an already overtaxed system. And since we are done talking about the joint, I am going to get rid of that. There we go. So, and hey, JKD Buck. So when your system, I always describe it as a helicopter parent. It's like that parent when you were a kid or when your kids were younger, you had that parent who reacted to everything, whether they needed to or not, and tended to overreact instead of just letting things be and play out on their own. Well, that's what your nervous system acts like, an overprotective parent. And it will try to work so hard to protect you that it ends up fighting the rest of your body. But what can we actually do? That's what I like to kind of have as our last little talk um, before we leave, because I don't just like to give you the information. I like to tell you what we can do about it. However, before we do that, I have to go toddler duties.
Daddy.
He's not watching, baby. He's asleep. Thank you for well, there you go. No, you've heard it here first, folks. I'm gonna take your hands. No.
No. Hey, today.
He cannot yet say pecuniary advantage.
No.
However,
No.
she. You want to go get your mic from the living room?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm not muted. I was simply not letting you guys hear her yelling at the top of her lungs in the microphone because I really did not want to. I didn't want to blast anybody's ears. She was yelling. And when I say yelling, I mean like the next door neighbors could have heard her. And I didn't think I wanted to blast out y'all's eardrums. However, getting back into this, thank you for the patience with the interruption. I love you guys, but as most of you know, I am mom first, YouTuber second. And I love you guys, but she always comes first. But now that we've talked about what causes our flare-ups and why the weather can make life suck for a few days, let's talk about what we can do. And Stacy, you didn't miss much. I had to go and do mama duties and clean some pee off the floor because potty training is a hell of a drug. She didn't quite make it on time, so we had to do a little wardrobe change. And Stacy, over here, you can call me Heather. So Heather and I she has the best name on the internet. All right. So what can we actually do? The first step is understanding that a temporary increase in our symptoms does not mean new damage or that more damage is occurring. That is not to say that just because you have a flare up around the weather change that something might not be going on. Sometimes, things happen and weather be damned. However, pain is a signal from your nervous system. It's not always a direct measure of damage. But understanding that simple fact can often reduce some of the anxiety and the fear around a flare up. I know that when I've had a flare up around weather and my brain instantly wants to think, oh my God, I have a cerebral spinal fluid leak. My patch is messed up and I need to go back to the hospital. And then, after about 10 minutes of sitting there and using my logical brain instead of my emotional brain, I realized that, it is cold and rainy today. It went from a normal humidity to like 95% humidity. Well, let's give this a day to see if it's the weather before I start panicking that I'm dying. Sometimes when you know things, you know just enough to be dangerous. That's my personal story. I don't know if any of y'all can relate to anything similar to that. But I have had moments where I instantly had pain, the same pain as I've had before, but I instantly go to, "Oh my god, something's wrong, I'm dying," instead of realizing that, no, it is just your chronic stuff flaring up. But the second thing we can do, and here's the hardest one, to be perfectly honest with you, keep moving. Movement, as we've discussed, helps maintain that lubrication and regulates your nervous system. This does not mean intense exercise. Don't go to a CrossFit class. Don't try to run a marathon. Don't, don't go biking 30 miles. Just gentle movements, simple range of motion, mobility work, the Tai Chi, or even light strengthening work and exercises can help reduce that stiffness and improve your overall circulation. Movement helps send signals to the brain that says you are safe and it is safe to move. Here's my biggest one. Yes, as a OTA and a corrective exercise specialist, movement should be my biggest one. However, something else that I wasn't really thinking about until I was discussing something with one of my doctors. Pay attention to patterns. And that can include everything from your sleep, your nutrition, your activity level. Um, I know that people with migraines, they will often, doctors and nurse practitioners will often tell you to keep a migraine journal when you have a headache, what you ate the day before or the meal before, what the weather's like, things like that. So sometimes getting a notebook and or even the notes app in your phone and keeping track of what is happening when you have a flare up. Um, for example, a really extreme example, but you have chronic pain and your friend gets in a car accident and you are super worried about them and all of a sudden you start having pain. It's not necessarily that there's anything new wrong, you just have a change in your stress levels. And sometimes something as simple as that can trigger a flare up. However, if you don't keep track of what is going on in your life that coincides with when you have flare ups, it's hard to put the pieces together. You Tammies are everywhere. Oh, I love my Tammies. My Tammies are the best. I definitely have days where I believe it's my last day. I do too. I have days where I wake up and I'm like, well, count my blessings. Or I have days where I'm like, oh, I'm actually shocked that I woke up because I felt like crap last night. So we shall see. Heather and Mo collect Tammies. Then we do. And Ninja Puppy, thank you for the $5 Ko-fi. I appreciate that. It helps so much to support the channel, especially since I've cut down on live streaming and stuff because I am trying to focus more on this channel. I like I said, every week I go in with the best of intentions that I'm going to have like a recorded video, and then every week things happen. So, but my advice with the tracking and looking at patterns is you don't have to get a big notebook. You don't have to write a big journal. You don't have to write pages and pages. Just something as simple as like um, knee pain, weather rainy. Write the date, obviously. Write what symptoms you had, and kind of write just a sentence or two about what's going on in your life. Didn't sleep last night. Went out and had fast food because sometimes food, and especially the stuff that's in our food, especially like fast food, can be a trigger for some people, but they don't realize it until they start tracking it And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, I went out this time and this time and this time, and I had pain shortly thereafter. You don't realize things happen or you brush it off as something else until you start putting together the pieces. You're not keeping the notebook to have someone read in your elder years. No. And my thing is when I do keep a journal, this is how I dispose of my journal. If it's pages that I definitely don't want anybody else to read, I shred, but I shred as like a final, like I'm getting this negative emotion out, and then I shred the paper and the negative emotion goes away because the paper went away. I can no longer see the negativity, so it leaves. That's my little mind trick. I don't know if it works or not. I don't necessarily recommend that to anybody else, but that's just what I do. That I'm like, the one, nobody can ever read it. And two, you can't even go back and wallow in self-pity. You shred it. You instantly get a, you know. All right. So, kind of ending this. While the weather may influence our overall pain levels for some individuals, understanding how the nervous system works and continuing to care for the body can help people maintain control over their total health. But if you want help applying some of these movement principles and nervous system strategies to your own situation, um, in the description of the video, I do have my link tree. In there is the opportunity to set up two different sessions. There's a movement session and just a question asking session for free if you want a one-on-one, to whether that be you want to show me something or you don't feel comfortable putting it in the chat. You can always set up a one-on-one session with me and we can talk about it in a private setting. And hey, Cynthia, how are you? But I'm curious though, do y'all notice your symptoms getting worse when it storms, or what tends to trigger your symptoms? Because for me, it's crappy weather. The pressure changes affects my head, both of my knees, and my hip. I'm I'm only 40, but I feel like I'm 75 some days. So, The Notebook is a great movie. I've never seen it. And I no. So I didn't get that reference because I've never seen that movie. Cold and damp. Yeah. And if you are watching on Replay Crew, please, if you feel comfortable, put in the comment section what triggers your symptoms and if any of these strategies you actually use, and what has helped you. So if I'm 59, I guess I feel like 100. Hell no. I think I'll use a prednisone strategy tomorrow if I need to. And you know what? You got to do what you got to do. My OT brain tells me to look at environmental factors and things that we can do non-pharmacologically first. However, I do know and I do realize that sometimes you just need a prescription. I get it. And if your doctor has said that, hey, if nothing else works, try this, I am not one to ever tell you not to follow your doctor's advice. Big temperature swing seems to be my thing. Yeah, which makes this time of year really difficult because the temperature swings where it's like, it's supposed to be 35 tonight or 30 tonight, something like that. It was 90 2 days ago. Like 60-degree temperature difference in less than a week. Like it was 40 this morning, it was 80 today. So we have 40-degree temperature differences within 12 hours. That combined with the pollen really can mess with people. Prednisone helps, but I try not to take more than less meds. I know that I have to take some for my migraines because if I don't take my migraine medication, it's not going to be a fun time. However, I'm on the lowest possible dose that is effective. That's why I struggle, because I'm on the lowest possible dose, and I'm dreading because the side effects of the medication that I'm on are not fun. So, ugh. Oh, and thank you for the $5 from Northern Aurora Treasures. And that's Stacy. Oh, now I know what the NAT stands for. Oh, that's awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you so very, very much. I didn't know that before, and now I used my brain and I figured it out. Ugh. We currently have temperature changes of 32 at night, 70 plus during the day. I definitely feel it. I learned the hard way, overdoing it and ended up paying for it. Yes, and we've talked about that in the past too. Just because you're having a good day doesn't mean that you need to like try to do everything. I know that, especially after my surgery, when I was having a great day, I would do so much, and then the next day would be like, yeah, you overdid that. You need to stop. All right. Yes, that's my business name. I was always wondering what the NAT stood for, and I just never asked because I'm nosy, but I'm not like nosy nosy. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, yeah. So, on that note, guys, I will see you Tuesday over on the other channel. I have to go make my grocery list for tomorrow, and I have to people tomorrow, and I don't wanna people. The worst meds I've been prescribed is pre-gabapentin. Yeah, they almost put me on gabapentin after my surgery because I went from feeling nothing in my feet, nothing, to feeling it. My nervous system was like, "Oh, we work again. And the nerves in your feet can feel." And then it's like, no, they feel everything. Sometimes they feel what they should not feel. So, with concerts worth 45 cents, 50 cent, and nickel. Oh, and if you didn't see it, I did a stream yesterday on the other channel with Snipe Hunter and T3, and it was so much fun, and I can't wait to do it again. But anyway, guys, I will see you on the next one. Thanks for hanging out with me, and please remember to hit that like and subscribe button and share this out to whoever you think may benefit from this information. Have a great night, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.